Um, So hi everyone, welcome to our Lawn Beginner webinar starting today. Um, Pretty exciting to be doing this one. This is going to be our first one. Hopefully you get some benefit out of it, and hopefully you can provide some feedback. We've only got a few callers on the webinar today, but that's okay because we've got a large number that have registered that will get to see this. And hopefully you guys find it valuable, and once the rain finally stops, you can get out there and do some good in your lawn. So to start off, I thought I'd give a bit of a background about myself. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ian Thompson and I run the Lawn Shed. I've been running that since 2021, so I've been helping lots of people around Australia improve their lawn, which is something I really love and enjoy doing. Before I started with the Lawn Shed, I was doing product development. I was a golf course superintendent. I started greenkeeping way back in 2003. So been in that for a while, did a master's degree at Sydney Uni back in 2012. So, I'm here with the Lawn Shed, trying to help people get better lawns. So we're very passionate that our blogs are written by someone who knows what they're talking about in turf. When you send through questions or looking for weed IDs, you're going to have someone who knows what they're talking about. Well, most of the time. Today's agenda, we're going to cover common pests and weeds, look briefly at what the product classes are, reading and understanding a label, calibrating a backpack sprayer, some tips on application, and then a little bit about product timing. So obviously this is our beginning course. If you watch this today, this then leads into our lawn lovers, which is a little bit more advanced, where we start to talk a little bit more in particular about products like PGRs, which is plant growth regulators, and some pre-emergent herbicides as well. So some cool things there. If you want, you can still register for that event. Even if you can't make it, we'll send you a copy of the video. Anyway, so let's get into it. So common pests and diseases, starting with weed control. Look, there's three main types of weeds that you get in lawns. The first one is broadleaf weeds. So you can see them, they're common weeds like clover, bindi, oxalis. Just because the term says broadleaf doesn't necessarily refer to really broad leaves, which is ironic. What it refers to is dicots or dicotyledons. Won't go into too much detail about them, but they're your most common weeds that you see through winter. We get a lot of winter annuals in Australia. Things like bindi is a winter annual. So what happens is it generally emerges around March, April, goes through the growing season, and then once it starts to warm up, it starts to die out, and that's when it puts up its flower, which everyone's probably aware of, turns into that seed, which sticks into your foot while you're trying to walk across your lawn. So they're broadleaf weeds. You have ones that are called grass weeds. So they're things like summer grass, winter grass. Winter grass is very common. Another one, which is an annual weed as well. So winter grass pretty common in lawns at the moment, especially if you're not using a pre-emergent herbicide. Now they have veins that run straight up and down. So they're parallel venation is what it's called. So that's one of the tricks to identifying them. Tend to use pre-emergent herbicides for those types of weeds because, as you can imagine, spraying one grass out of another grass without harming it is a little bit more challenging. And then the last one, which is sedges, it also has a parallel venation. But one of the things that gives this away is a triangular stem. So all sedges have triangular stems. You can kind of see in the picture there. Wasn't too big a deal a few years ago, but since COVID, we've had some really wet summers, and sedges love water. So wet, damp areas, things like nutgrass and mullumbimby couch are sedges, and they've tended to explode over the last few years. And, today in Sydney, we've had plenty more rain, a week of rain, so that will continue to grow through spring as well. Next one we're going to cover is just insects in lawns. So they basically fall into three main groups. So you've got Coleoptera, which is your beetles, group of beetles. The most common ones there are billbug and African black beetle. Now, what they do is they have a full life cycle, as you can imagine. They start as eggs, turn into larvae, then into beetles, and then the beetles lay the eggs. Now, the larvae go through a few different instars, and it's generally the last or third instar that they become very aggressive and start to damage your turf. They'll eat the roots of your lawn, and that's when you start to see damage. So applying when they're very small in September using Acelepryn insecticide is a great way to knock them on the head before they get big. With billbug, you'll start to see damage in generally around October, November, particularly on kikuyu. They're a little bit earlier in the season, whereas with African black beetle, if you're getting damage around Christmas, that's pretty much a sure sign that you've got that. So that's our beetles. Moving on, you've got the Lepidoptera, which is your butterfly or moths family. The moths are obviously a bit of a common one in terms of damage to your lawn. Most people are familiar with armyworm. If you've ever had your lawn attacked by armyworm, it's a very significant event. They can destroy lawns very, very quickly. And again, it's that larvae that is the caterpillar. So there's the caterpillar that crawls across the lawn at night and eats all the leaves. It turns into a brown moth, lays eggs, often around the eaves and garden beds and everywhere, if you have enough numbers of them. And often one of the reasons they're called armyworm is they come in numbers, very large numbers. So again, the larvae, caterpillars, the damaging thing. Acelepryn in September is good there. If you're in Queensland, you might need to do an application in around January, February as well. So they tend to do damage more later. Acelepryn gives about 4 to 5 months coverage for those. So you might need a second application there if you're in a high-risk area like Queensland. And then lastly, Orthoptera, which is your crickets. The main one in Australia is your mole cricket, particularly damaging in Western Australia in the Perth sandy soils there. Often digs its way through and creates tunnels. I often think of Bugs Bunny trying to run away from Yosemite Sam there. Yeah. So Elmer Fudd, sorry, get that right, get that reference right. So lots of tunnelling across the top of the lawn that you'll see there. And, Monarch is a great product to knock that out with the fipronil active ingredient. Just to do a quick cover of product classes, you've got a whole group of pesticides. So herbicides, which kill weeds, insecticides kill insects. You've got fungicides, which can prevent and treat fungal disease. You've got wetting agents that can help water penetration and retention. So often, even with lots of rain around, you can find that the water's not going in beyond the first sort of 10, 15 mils. So they're a great product to use in sandy soils. Fertilizers, obviously, for plant nutrition. PGR, which is what's called a plant growth regulator. These are things that can slow down growth. We cover them in a lot more detail in the Lawn Lovers webinar tomorrow. If you're interested, please come along. Surfactant is a product that you can add to things like herbicides, which helps it stick and spread. So if you're looking at very small weeds with sort of glossy weeds, the surfactant can really help it stick on there and get better result. And then lastly, pigments, which are grass colorants. Not overly popular in Australia yet, very popular in golf courses, used in stadiums as well. Obviously, if you're trying to bring a winter stadium for football and things like that, having that extra color for TVs, pretty crucial. The next step I was going to go through is understanding a label. Obviously, a very, very important factor when you're looking to get the best results out of a product and not kill anything. Well, not kill your lawn anyway. So look, as I said, read the label thoroughly, understand it. If you do have any questions about the label that you don't understand and you're looking to clarify something, it is far better to reach out and ask for questions. I'll have my email and phone number at the end. So please reach out if you're not sure that it's going to, whether it's going to harm your lawn or not. Check it's safe on your lawn type. So Some products are only safe on certain lawns, so please please identify your lawn. If you can't, again, send us the photo. Check it'll solve the problem you'll have. So checking that it is actually going to treat the disease or treat the insect, whether you've got your timing right and things like that. And then lastly, I guess lawn products focus on coverage, not per litre. So one of the questions I often get asked is how much product per litre of water? And that the problem there is that's not how it works. It's as you can see by this label here is bow and arrow. It's 50 mils per 100 square metres. And I will explain the 2 to 5 litres on the next slide, but just to cover off quickly through this slide, you can see here you've got some restraints. Restraints are very important on a label. The whole label is important, but obviously just covering a small amount here just to give you a bit of an idea. Do not apply if weeds or turf are under stress or when frosts are imminent. So obviously if turf is under stress, you're more likely to do damage to the host turf. And when frosts are imminent, you're less likely to get herbicide uptake. Do not use if rain is expected within 4 hours. I think it's pretty self-explanatory that that's going to wash the herbicide off and reduce your results. Do not use clippings as mulch around other plants or for composting. Obviously, this product is bow and arrow herbicide. So if you're spraying it on, the herbicide is absorbed by the lawn. So if you're using that herbicide, those clippings, then into a garden bed or things like that, you're effectively putting herbicide into those garden beds. It's not something you want to do. Do not use on bent grass or winter grass, golf and bowling greens. So basically bent grass and winter grass that are cut at low height, 3 mil. This herbicide can knock them around significantly. That's about it for that. So next one is calibration. So this is where I guess I'm going to cover that water conversation that is often discussed. So some of the products we do sell here are from the professional market. That's because they're high quality products. It's what I've used as a professional, and it's what I recommend. So sometimes you will see labels that come with per hectare rates. And it is easy to divide them. So to go from a hectare to 100 square metres, you simply divide by 100. And obviously we do have some videos that cover this on YouTube. So if you want to check them out as well, if you need a refresher. As you can see, this one here, I've just taken a snippet from the bow and arrow herbicide. And it's very handy here that we've got a rate per 100 square metres. Now, one of the questions I often get asked is why does it say 2 to 5 litres per 100 square metres? So the reason that it says 2 to 5 litres per 100 square metres is if I go out and spray tomorrow with my backpack sprayer and I walk really quickly, then I might only use 3 litres per 100 square metres. If I go slowly, I might use 5 litres per 100 square metres. So it's important to calibrate and understand how much you're using. So different walking speeds, so different people, different sprayers, everyone's going to be using different. So this is actually just saying that there is some flexibility in the amount of water that you can use. So just on the right here, I've given a bit of an example. The way to calibrate is to understand how much water you're using over a known area. So the way to do that is to measure out a known area. So I've used 50 square metres here. You don't want to go too small. If you go 10 metres and then you go to spray 3,000 square metres, the calibration is just not going to work. It's going to be, the 10 metres just isn't a big enough area to calibrate. So 50 square metres is good if you're going to then spray a 200 square metre lawn. So that's what I've used here as an example. So it takes you 1 minute to spray that 50 square metres as you're going around with your backpack sprayer or knapsack, whatever suits you. You would then grab a jug and measure out how much water would be put out in that 1 minute. So I've just used this as an example here. So let's say I go back to my jug and I time myself for a minute. This time I put out 2 litres of water into that jug. Because the area was 50 square metres, that would mean that I'd be using 4 litres per 100 square metres. So if I had a 100 square metre lawn, I'd put in 4 litres of water and 50 mils of the bow and arrow herbicide. If I had a 200 square metre lawn, I would put in 8 litres and put in 100 mils of the herbicide. Again, if any of the maths is difficult, or if you're struggling with it, or you're not 100% sure, feel free to send through your lawn size, and we can talk through how to calibrate. Now, when it comes to application, and as we've sort of said there around the calibration and mixing up and things like that, you really need to know the size of the area you're treating. Again, it's not a mils per litre thing like you might see with a lot of garden products. It is a mils per 100 square metres rate that you're looking to use. When you mix up, try to mix up the right amount to treat that area. So spray it nice and evenly over that area. If you mix up for 100 meter squares and you have enough product for 100 meter squared, you use it all up. So what I mean by that is if you mix up for 100 square meters and you spray it and you've still got half a tank left, you've only put out half the rate of the chemical. So you're not going to get the result you need. So sometimes it is better to go over quickly, have a little bit left, and then go over it again much quicker. Go over again until you've run out. So as it says there, if you have leftover, you need to apply it evenly because you haven't put out enough product. If you run out when you've only sprayed half the lawn, you've gone out double the rate. So you need to be careful of that as well. So that's why we calibrate. It reduces the risk of damage to our lawns. So it's a pretty important step in spraying lawns. Just the next one to cover, and we're getting towards the end of our presentation now. Our lawn care program. So getting timing is an extremely important thing in regards to all our applications. If you go too late with an insecticide, the results aren't as good. You get damage to your turf before you get out there with those products. If you put a granular fertilizer out too late, you'll miss a part of the growing season. So if you miss 8 weeks of the growing season, if you're in an area that's quite temperate like Melbourne, where they have a shortened growing season, it could be a significant portion. It could be up to a quarter of the growing season that you've missed by not getting your timing on it. So a bit of an overview of a lawn care program here. So in August, broadleaf and other weed treatment. Good things to do. The reason we recommend treating there is your broadleaf is all germinated. It's all up. It's nice and healthy. It's ready to take on herbicide because it is actively growing, but it hasn't flowered yet. So what I mean by that is it hasn't gone to seed. So it's not spreading seed for next year. If you wait until September or late September, what you'll find is the weed, you might kill it with a herbicide, but it's already seeded, so you've got twice as many weeds or more next year, depending on the weed that you're dealing with. September, crucial for insecticide if you've had some issues with curl grub or African black beetle, billbug, those sorts of things. It's good to get a pre-emergent down if you're in an area where you get summergrass germination or crabgrass germination or crow's foot germination. Those are some of the things we'll cover in our Lawn Lovers webinar tomorrow. Obviously, good to get the granular fertilizer down. Still a little bit early in most areas. If you're in Queensland, you could be looking at a granular fertilizer now. The key there is looking for temperatures, a bottom temperature and a top temperature. When you add them up, over 32 degrees is when you're starting to get a little bit of bang for your buck when it comes to granular fertilizer. And then also a wetting agent. Often soils become hydrophobic during winter and the water won't get in. And as you can imagine, a granular fertilizer is watered in and then taken up through water into the plant. And that's really crucial if you have that wetting agent allowing water through. It just helps that take up of fertilizer as well. So December, again, obviously, depending on what the weather's doing, it can be a little bit different. I think given the amount of rainfall we've had recently, there's going to be plenty of soil moisture out there and plenty of growth. So, wetting agent might be all you need this December. But if you follow our socials and things like that, we'll keep you updated as the season goes on. Late February, early March, that's the time to look at putting a pre-emergent out again. Really crucial, that one, for preventing winter grass. As you know, winter grass, probably the first year you get a bit of winter grass, you can usually pull it out. By the second or third year, the amount of seed that they produce you'll have phenomenal numbers of winter grass through your lawn. Pre-emergence are kind of your only options. And depending on what grass type you have, killing the winter grass out of, buffalo, for example, is pretty hard to do. Again, a granular fertilizer is pretty key in that February-March period. Going into autumn, it prolongs the growing period into winter, keeps the lawn nice and green through winter. And the other thing is, with a lot of warm season grasses in Australia, it stores the fertilizer in the stolons and the roots, and can actually allow an early spring green up because that nutrient's already there, ready to go. Once we start to get a few warmer days, the soil temperature rises, and off goes that off goes the grass. Wetting agent as well at that time of year to sort of help with the granular fertilizer, and obviously moving into cooler months where we might get a bit more rainfall. So that's it for our homeowner beginners webinar. Thanks everyone for watching. As I said, it's our first one, so we'd love to get some feedback on some of the things that we could cover for future webinars. If you want to get in contact, there's our website, my email address, and my phone number. So hopefully this has stimulated some questions, and you guys can reach out and I can help you get the lawn of your dreams. Anyway, thanks everyone. Catch you soon. Bye.